is I am going to go here, and I'm going to put another if statement inside here, and it's going to say if left plus dx is less than or equal to 150. So if you're moving towards the left and you do left minus d, or you do left plus dx, and that value is less than 150, then you can actually move your whole character to the right instead of moving just the image, or instead of the background. We're going to go left equals left plus dx. So this moves the actual character to the right. And else, so this is if your character is already at 150 and you're trying to move right, then it's going to move the actual background. So you can see that these variables control the background, while this left variable controls the actual image location of the character that you have. Now we're going to create an else statement for this whole thing. And you can see that this else statement is going to happen if dx is -1, meaning if you are moving to the left. And we're going to do if left plus dx is greater than 0, then we're going to go left, the same thing, left is equal to left plus dx, meaning we're going to check if we're not off the screen, meaning if it's less than 0, meaning we're off of our frame. We don't want that to happen. Now you can see that I'm moving to the right, dx is 1, so the background is scrolling. But if I do to the left, then only the character moves. And see, now I'm moving to the right again. It's point at 150, so the background starts moving again. So now we're done this part. Next part, I'm going to add a jumping ability. Okay, continuing on from the previous one, I will be now adding a jumping ability to the character. So as you can see, I added the left moving and everything in the previous video, and now it looks pretty realistic so far. All I'm going to do is I'm going to load up another image that I have here. It's called jump, and it's just a basic jumping. So it's a jumping image, and I'm also going to add a if key is key event dot vk underscore up, meaning if you press the up button on your keyboard, then dy actually is equal to 1 and still is equal to j dot get image. I haven't made j yet, but I will. So j is my image icon, which is pretty similar to the previous two ones, except it's called jump, I believe. The image file is called jump. So I'm also going to make a variable for dy, and this variable will control what happens, what the value is of if you're moving, jumping or not. And if key is key event dot vk underscore up, then we're going to go dy is equal to 0 again. So if you release the up key, then it goes right back to 0. And if you release the up key, then your image changes back to still is equal to s dot, or I call it I dot get image. So if you release the up key, then now you're back to a normal image. Now that all that's out of the way, we're actually going to make a jumping. So this is a bit complicated, but you have to realize if you watched my previous video about animations in Java, then this should be pretty much similar. So we're going to use a thread to do this, just like I did in my previous tutorial about animations, and we're going to implement runnable. Now it's going to want you to add a run method into this, and we'll do that right now. We'll let it do it. So it's going to add a run method right here, and so this run method is going to be run when the animation starts. But to determine when the animation starts, I'll put it right here. So to determine when the animation starts, I'm going to put if p dot dy is 1, then we want our animation to start, obviously. We're going to go animator. Actually, we haven't even made an animator yet. We'll make a thread animator. This, you know what a thread is. It's basically initiates the animation. So animator is equal to new thread. And this, we're going to use this here in this instance. It's going to be this thread, and it's going to be starting animator.start when p.dy is 1. So the moment when p.dy is 1, then we're going to start this. But there's one more thing that we have to do, and it's a boolean, call it k is equal to false. Because we only want to start this animation once, because when we do animator.start, it goes to this run method. We only want to do this once, so we're going to use this to check if it's only once. So, and k is false. And once we do this, we're going to make k equal to true. So that now it will only ever run once. Now that that's done, we're going to add stuff to this run method. And inside this run method, what we're going to do is, now this is a bit confusing, but it's going to be we're going to use a system clock to animate our character. If you don't understand this, it's alright. This is a bit more complicating than what you should be using. But this is basically the time before, and this is the time difference, and this is the sleep time, which is the time between your next animation. So our before time, we're going to go system.current time, current time millis. This returns a time in milliseconds, and I shouldn't have made that capital. Now this returns the time, the current system time in milliseconds, and now we're going to create a loop. And in this loop, we'll leave the conditions empty for now, and I'll show you what the conditions will be in just a second. We're going to go time difference is equal to, so the same time, this thing, minus before time. So you can see that the time difference is the current time minus the time that we got before we started this whole looping thing. And we'll make our sleep equal to some delay. So we want a delay in our animation. We'll say it can be 10 milliseconds minus time difference. So this is a bit confusing, but, and also we have to do this. Java asks us to do this. If sleep is less than 0, then we'll make sleep equal to 2. Just because if in some cases sleep might be a negative number, we'll just make it positive. Now Java asks us to do this. We're going to use a try and catch here, and we're going to go thread.sleep, and for the time here, sleep. So this just sets some delay in animation, and it uses try and catch around it because Java wants us to. And we'll use exception E. Okay, and this is it, and now we're done our loop. But there's a few things we should do before we're done our loop. Inside our loop, we actually haven't even done anything. We haven't even moved any of the y coordinates. So we're going to create a method here. This is our main method. This is our real method. It's going to be called public void cycle. This cycle, it changes the y values of our character, and we're going to have to actually create another variable int. Let's call it v. I don't know if I used y already. So this v value will be our value that our character is at right now. So initially our character is actually at 172. You can see it's the same as this y value. But this v value is going to change when we jump. So you can see that we need some things for our cycle. We need to first go up, and then we need to come down. So we're going to need to make two variables, two booleans, boolean done is equal to false and boolean h is equal to false. This done will just tell us when our whole jumping is done, and this h will tell us when we're at the peak of our jump. So you can use simple, you can just think about it simply and then just do it your own way, but I'm just going to do it one way here, and you can see how I do it and then maybe get some ideas off that.